They don't always shout to control you. Sometimes manipulation hides in concern disguised as care. It lives in guilt, silence, and small concessions that feel harmless until you realize you're no longer yourself. This isn't about hate or revenge. It's about reclaiming awareness before influence becomes ownership. Here are 9 signs you're being quietly manipulated. 1. They guilt you into compliance. Manipulators don't force obedience, they sculpt it through guilt. They weaponize your empathy, twisting kindness into chains. You find yourself saying yes, not because you agree, but because you fear disappointing them. Their words sound caring. I just thought you'd be there for me. But the weight behind them is control. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Guilt is an outside event in disguise. It's the illusion that you owe peace to others while sacrificing your own. But true kindness doesn't drain. It strengthens. A Stoic learns to pause before reacting, to ask, is this request born from love or manipulation? Detachment doesn't mean coldness. It means clarity. It's realizing that guilt can be a leash and awareness is the knife that cuts it. The more you see the tactic, the less it binds you. Compassion doesn't require obedience. It requires boundaries. 2. They twist your words against you. Every conversation becomes a minefield. You explain your feelings only to hear them echoed back in distorted form. You're too sensitive. That's not what I said. You're overreacting. This is gaslighting in its softest form, the slow erosion of your confidence in your own perception. Seneca warned, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Manipulators exploit this. They make you question your memory, your tone, your reason, until you begin apologizing for emotions that were justified. But clarity is your weapon. Keep your calm. Do not debate distortions. Respond with silence or distance. Let your truth stand unbent by argument. In Stoicism, truth is not proven through words but through steadiness. When they twist your meaning, anchor yourself in your intent. The storm may try to move you, but your peace must remain the unmoved mountain. 3. They keep you in emotional debt. Some people offer help not to give, but to own. Every favor becomes a seed of obligation, watered with guilt until it blooms into control. After all I've done for you, they remind you, and suddenly your freedom feels like betrayal. Epictetus wrote, "He who seeks approval from others becomes their slave." The manipulator trades kindness for compliance. They count emotional currency and expect repayment with loyalty, silence, or sacrifice. A Stoic repays gratitude with gratitude, not servitude. You owe no eternal debt for temporary kindness. Detach from transactions disguised as affection. The sincere giver never keeps score. Return generosity with grace, but never with surrender. Freedom dies in the shadow of false gratitude. 4. They create chaos to stay relevant. Manipulators thrive in turbulence. Calm makes them invisible. When peace settles, they stir storms to remind you of their importance. Drama becomes their currency, confusion their language. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." But manipulators reverse this. They twist truth to control perception, turning others against you while pretending to play peacemaker. The Stoic response? Observe without reaction. Refuse the bait of emotional chaos. Let silence expose what words cannot. When they weaponize confusion, answer with stillness. Clarity doesn't require noise, it requires distance. Chaos cannot touch the one who no longer engages. 5. They play the victim to gain power. Every story bends toward their pain. No matter what happens, they find a way to suffer most. This is manipulation through martyrdom. They make your empathy their control switch. Seneca said, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than necessary." Manipulators suffer strategically. Their wounds are tools, not truths. You cannot heal someone who clings to pain for leverage. When empathy becomes exhaustion, You've crossed from compassion into captivity. The Stoic learns to discern between genuine suffering and emotional theater. Offer compassion, not surrender. Let them carry their story. You carry your peace. 6. They isolate you from your support. Control thrives in silence. They'll subtly discredit your friends, plant seeds of doubt, or say, they don't really understand you like I do. Soon, your world narrows until it revolves around their approval. Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." The manipulator knows this, that freedom begins in perspective, so they shrink yours. The Stoic way is awareness. Reconnect with others. Reclaim outside voices that bring you back to balance. Solitude chosen is strength. Solitude imposed is control. Don't confuse loyalty with isolation. Loyalty doesn't demand your loneliness. 7. They use flattery to disarm you. Manipulators understand ego like an artist understands light. They paint you in praise to distract you from truth. Compliments become chains disguised as comfort. You're the only one I can trust. You're so different from everyone else. It feels good, until it doesn't. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't be overheard complaining, not even to yourself. Likewise, don't be flattered into blindness. Praise should never cost your discernment. True recognition uplifts without expectation. False flattery binds through dependence. The Stoic accepts admiration with gratitude but not attachment. Compliments fade. Integrity remains. Stay grounded in who you are when no one is watching. 8. They drain you with constant crisis. Manipulators live in perpetual emergency. Every week a new disaster, every call a plea for rescue. You become their anchor, therapist, savior. But you also become their prisoner. Seneca warned, "No man was ever wise by chance. Likewise, no relationship remains peaceful by accident. You must guard your energy. You cannot pour from an empty mind. Compassion must coexist with boundaries. When every day becomes a crisis, remember, their chaos is not your calling." The Stoic helps from calm, not compulsion. Offer aid when right, but never at the cost of your clarity. 9. They rewrite history to control the present. Manipulators are historians of distortion. They retell past events until guilt feels like memory. "That never happened," they'll say, or worse, "it was your fault." In their version, they're always the victim, and you're always to blame. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "If it's not true, don't let it trouble you." The past they invent cannot harm the mind that refuses to believe it. You are not required to debate falsehoods. Truth needs no defense, it endures. The Stoic way is not to argue history but to live so clearly that lies lose oxygen. Memory is not a weapon, it's a lesson. Keep it pure, keep it yours. Manipulators thrive where awareness sleeps. But once you see the pattern, the spell breaks. You no longer fight for proof. You stand in truth. Peace returns not when they change, but when you stop participating in the illusion. Awareness is freedom, and silence, your final act of strength.